All Philadelphia wanted for Christmas was to clinch home field advantage, and then that game happened. And then all of a sudden, it left a sour, sour taste in our mouths. Now, I don't know what you wanted for Christmas, Brendan, because you're not the biggest Eagles fan in the world. You like those other birds from Baltimore. But you did get a win from them.
We did. The Ravens kept their playoffs hopeful. Honestly, all I wanted for Christmas was to survive my bachelor party, see a Temple win in person, and I can check off those boxes. St. Pete was great to us, so I had a great Christmas. And obviously the Eagles fans got what they wanted, but maybe didn't get like the newest model of the toy they wanted. They got the one that was like 6 years old. They got the win, but they weren't really thrilled with it. I totally get that.
Yeah, but shout out to the Temple T. TU, baby. Temple tough. You witnessed it live. 28-3 thrashing of Florida International.
I said this, Adrian, when they put that backup quarterback in, for anyone who saw the game, I'm telling you guys, honestly, that backup quarterback could not see over the offensive line. There is no way he could see over the offensive line. Temple took it to him. But the biggest loss, in my opinion, is that facilities the Rays have to play in. That stadium is horrific. I saw this stuff about, Major League Baseball wants to go to 32 teams. Forget that. You need to move the Rays because they're playing in a minor league baseball park. It's just horrible there. But that's not what you guys are here to listen to me ramble about. So I just wanted to get it off my chest quick.
Yeah. Fear the catwalk. That's all you really needed to say there. All right, so let's get into some Eagles football since we started with some Temple T there. So Nick Foles, not too hot, and we'll just kind of go as all right, so let's just get into the film right away. And obviously we know by now that he wasn't that great. So the first play we're going to show here, and this is a perfect illustration of kind of what was going on throughout the night. So he was really staring down Zach Ertz a lot, and he targeted him 14 times. The next targeted Eagle was Nelson Aguilar with 7, so he was really staring him down. And this was a play where, he shouldn't have thrown it to him because Reggie Nelson read this play all the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we look at this play, we see it 1st and 10, or it's going to be I think it is a third down situation, excuse me.
Yeah, 3rd and 4.
And when we look at this is just going to be a simple out route coming up here by Ertz eventually. And the issue that we're going to see once the referees figure out what's going on is you have to know your player personnel. Eventually, Ertz is going to be here in the slot. So Ertz, he's a very athletic tight end, but he's not a threat to run the wheel route. So when he starts to run this out, Nelson is able to jump all over this because even when we watch this play back, you're going to see Carl Joseph, the top safety, he's going to be over the top. So even if Ertz does run the wheel route, Nelson has the help over the top. So really, this is not open by any means. And even if you watch this, Foles doesn't look a single other person. He decided, I'm only going to look here at Zach Ertz, and there was nothing open. This ball should have been put into the 5th row before it should have been thrown at Zach Ertz because the Raiders are the league least interceptions, only 4 interceptions coming into the game. This should have been a pick 6 the other way.
And you can even see where Nelson is shaded. He's got the outside shade, and Ertz has nowhere to go on this route. Look where he is. He's got no chance on this out route, and Foles is still forcing the ball anyway.
Yep. Like I said, Adrian, this looked like one of those pre-snap decisions where Foles says, I am going to throw to Ertz and no one else because he doesn't even look anywhere else. That's a big problem for me.
Yeah. All right. So another thing that we're trying to figure out as the game was going on, because we didn't have the all 22 up yet. Yeah. So the receivers didn't really do much statistically on paper. I think it was 5 receptions for 40 yards total, I believe, if I got that right. But when you watch the all 22, there were definitely plays where the receivers were open. And Nick Foles just failed to throw with some anticipation. So there were a couple stop routes here. And this is one to Torrey Smith. So this is a 3rd and 3. And this should have been easy. I mean, even pre-snap, you see the cornerback is in off coverage. I mean, this is easy pitch and catch. But I'll let you dissect this here.
Pre-snap, I mean, this is a clear cover 3 look. We can see that the corner here on Torrey Smith's side is lined up at the 30-yard line. I mean, Torrey Smith is a burner, yes, but he's got a 6-yard cushion here. And you have to know pre-snap, okay, as long as this linebacker doesn't buzz or drop into the flats underneath Torrey Smith, this is a easy pass. I mean, this is high school level stuff. All Foles has to do is make sure that the linebacker doesn't sneak underneath it. And as long as he doesn't, and he doesn't here, it's an easy catch here. There's no reason this shouldn't be an easy completion moving forward.
Yeah, and here we go. We're going to let it play out.
I mean, because you even see the safety, only one high safety, middle of the field. So there's no safety help. So you know that this corner, he's going to play it very soft because he knows he can't gamble. We'll talk about Jalen Mills gambling in a moment. But you see here, there is no underneath threat in the flat. This is something this ball has to be out now. It has to be out as soon as Foles' back foot hits the end of his drop. He's got to let it rip. And by the time Torrey Smith turns around, the ball's going to be right in his chest.
Like, how is that taking him so long? Is that lack of reps, or is that just what he is?
My thought is this is a lack of reps. I'm one of those people, I give people the benefit of the doubt more often than not. But the problem is, if you had to replace a quarterback, the two defenses you'd want to see him face first, the New York Giants and the Oakland Raiders. And he looked very good against the Giants. He looked really bad against Oakland Raiders. So I'm not sure if Foles is really going to be able to win games in the playoff yet. I really don't know.
Because, like, I would feel like in a couple weeks span, like, Doug Peterson would take him in the film room and be like, listen, like, this is easy stuff here. Like, I would think this is the worst we're going to see of Foles in a way. But I don't know. Maybe not. We'll see. I mean, this is the Raiders. Like, you just said it. The Giants, to me, are the worst defense in the league because they've given up on the season.
Yes.
And the Raiders here, I mean, this is Christmas night where you're traveling all the way west to east. They don't want to be here. And this is the performance we saw from Nick Foles. So it is definitely discouraging moving forward.
I would agree with that.
I didn't like what I saw.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Adrian.
All right, so next thing here, this is another one, lack of anticipation where the ball needs to be out. Smith was open, so here we go, 6:37 mark of the third quarter. So there was even another play in this game. I don't think we're going to show this one, but even Alshon Jeffrey was open on I believe it was a post corner route, and another example where Foles was playing without confidence, and this is a throw that Carson Wentz would rip, but this is Carson Wentz.
No question. Again, this is going to be one of those, it's a tight cluster situation. So, as a defensive player, probably one of these guys in the trips in the bottom of the screen is going to run a sit route, who's going to kind of sit in the middle, and the other two guys are essentially going to run man beaters. So it really comes down to if he can find the guy in the sit route who literally sits down in the middle of the zone, he's got to let it rip. It's a very similar conversation we talked about earlier in that cover 3 look. By the time Foles' back foot hits, his decision has to be already made. The ball has to be moving forward. That's the point of when you put these tight trips, is really Foles only has to read about 12 yards difference between number 1, number 2, and number 3 in that pattern. So you're not asking Foles to make a full field read, and that in turn is supposed to speed up the timing of throwing this ball.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to play it here.
And you're going to see it here, guys. Right now, he's open.
I mean, yeah, there it is.
Wide open.
And he missed him.
Yeah.
And he took a sack. He took a sack on this play. He
Yeah.
took a sack on it. Like, that's an easy completion. You're taking a sack. Oh.
That's the killer.
That's bad.
Because the thing is, again, this Raiders team, aside from Khalil Mack, there is not a single Pro Bowl level caliber player on the entire Raiders defense, aside from Khalil Mack. So there is no reason that this shouldn't have been a breakout game from Nick Foles. Really, there shouldn't have been. So, yeah, Adrian, you're 100% right. This is a play that has got to be a completion. But if you take sacks against bad teams, that's why you only score, under 17 points, and you get a win.
It's not like he doesn't have a pocket here. I mean, there it is. It's right there. Get it out. I mean, can this be corrected by the divisional playoffs?
I'm going to say yes. Again, I'm someone I'm a positive person, so I think it can be. He just needs to play with more urgency and more speed. And as crazy as it is to say, I almost would say, you know what? If in the early quarters you want to, try to gas one in there and maybe it's picked, it's not the end of the world because you're now playing with urgency. it's almost worse to play with constant, I don't want to say being scared, but being overly conservative. It's like the point where Foles is only going to throw the ball unless the guy's 15 yards wide open. That doesn't happen in the NFL.
I just feel like it can't be worse than this. This is simple. This is a 5-yard stop route. I mean, this is simple stuff, and he's missing it. And he's not only missing it, he's taking a sack. He's taking sacks. This is simple stuff. This is stuff where, I mean, even Ryan Leaf could see this stuff.
It's not. It's again. It's only one game, so I mean, we don't need to burn down, the stadium and say the season's over.
Yeah,
but it wasn't. I mean, this is a team you should have lit up.
All right, so I believe this is Ertz, right, near the red zone. This is one where he missed.
Yep. And what we're going to see here is this going to be a pattern to Ertz. So a guy that, Carson loved him, Foles loves him, and understandably so. But this ball, it's high, yes. But it's high because he needs to put it over the linebacker. Ertz, yeah, he probably should have made this. But as crazy as it is for me to say, this is a play that Foles should have waited one more second longer until Ertz clears the linebacker and then put the ball there. Again, the pocket's there. But as you'll watch here from Foles, he doesn't really do a great job of getting his lower body set. That was always his concern. Bigger quarterbacks, Osweiler is the obvious one. Yeah. Bigger quarterbacks sometimes have a hard time getting their lower body to time up with their upper body.
Look how low he is to get to take the snap. Look how low he is.
Yeah, he's a big dude.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly, he had a couple D1 basketball offers too in college.
Mm-hmm.
Like right here, he's got to either put this ball high or wait a split second more till he gets over the linebacker. This should have been a completion, but it's high, so it's like you're erring it on the side of caution. It should have been a completion though, either way.
That's a touchdown with Carson Wentz.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's a perfect illustration of the difference here. This is what you get from Nick Foles. And we saw what you get from Carson Wentz.
And that's what you get from an NFL MVP to a backup quarterback. Foles is a good backup quarterback.
Yeah.
He's a backup quarterback at the end of the day.
All right. So next one is, this is where he threw it behind Jeffrey. So this is not too much later. This is right here. Oh.
And it's going to be the same type of conversation I talked about here in the Ertz play, guys. Watch Nick Foles' lower body. It's really not truly underneath him. He's a little bit off-centered. His foot placement is a little outside. You'll see it from the end zone view here. This is going to give you a good idea of what the play looks like. But Foles, like a lot of big quarterbacks again, if they struggle to get their lower body underneath them, they're in trouble. Stafford was like this for a large part of his career until he finally started to get it to click. But this ball is going to sail again and going to be behind Jeffrey.
Yep.
And you see where he's going to put it. He's going to put it between the linebackers. He makes the right read. That's the thing. It's the right read. It's just a bad ball.
Yeah. Yeah. This is one where he actually made the right read.
Absolutely, because when you saw it, you saw that linebacker buzz down and take away the underneath route, which is exactly what you want. You run an under and an over route combination to get the linebackers to bite on one of them. And we see here that 53 is going to bite the under. So Nick makes the right read, say, perfect, I'm going to throw the ball behind your head, minus the fact you have to complete it for anyone to care.
And what are you seeing mechanically here?
So mechanically here, I mean, we're going to see here his drop is a little bit uneven. It's not really a straight line. That's going to be the first. Yeah, we get a little pressure in the pocket. But look at his lower body. Look how he has to step up and go over. It's because he's not getting his left foot in front of him in a perfect angle and a placement. And that comes because his drop is off-center. When the drop's off-center, even if it's only by a yard, guys, that completely changes up how you have to align your body when you make a throw.
Yeah, that's a really good point there. All right, so another play in the fourth quarter, and this might have been a third down. I'm trying to remember. I didn't write it down here, but there's a check down that's wide open, and he Foles missed them.
Yeah, when we're getting into this fourth quarter, and it's an ugly game at this point. Yeah. At this point, we know, hey, the Eagles aren't going to put 30 points up in the fourth quarter. So now you have to win the position of the field. So 3rd and 12 on their own 25, getting that 8 to 10 yards right here, or even if it's just 5 to 6, it gives you more room for your punter it's going to put your offense in better field position than in the long term when inevitably you force a punt.
I mean, this game was 10-10. Nobody was scoring points at all.
Exactly.
Nobody was moving the ball.
Field
so, yeah, 8 yards makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. It's a massive thing. So the check down stuff is crucial. And if I remember correctly, I think Foles even gets a sack here.
Yeah. And this is another one where he takes a sack where he shouldn't have.
So first off, I think this ball is going to hit him right in the ding-dong, and he's not going to do a great job catching it, which is kind of important as a quarterback. You need to catch the ball for the play to start. Just saying. Usually important to happen.
Now, Kelsey wasn't having the best snaps in the world, but that one he should have caught.
Just hit you in the hands, man. You can't bitch at the receivers for dropping balls if you're dropping snaps. This check down is wide freaking open. Okay?
There it is.
Look, the Raiders are bailing, understandably so. Take the check down, get 5 yards. Instead, what does Nick do? He starts a scramble drill, and now instead of being a 5-yard gain, it's going to be like a 7-yard loss, so now it's a net of 12 yards. I mean, that's a big, big difference there.
That was the sideways back battle right there.
Take the check down, man. Don't be a hero. Take the check down. Move the ball up a little bit. Get a punt because there's 13 minutes left in the game at this point. If there was like 2 minutes left, okay, yeah, scramble around, make something happen because we have to win the game. But at 13 minutes, you know you're going to get the ball back. So why not make your defense have a more favorable field position and give your punter more room to let it boom?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if that's Barner or Clement. But whoever that is, I think that's Clement actually. But you look at this play. If you would have put this on the proper shoulder, maybe he could have turned upfield immediately and possibly have gotten to the sticks. That's Clement. Do you think he could have gotten to the sticks? I mean, he would have gotten 7-8 yards at least, I think.
Yeah. I think 7-8 yards, that's the easy thing. First down, I don't know if he would have gotten – but let's put it this way. He would have gotten a lot closer than what Foles did.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah, so you're taking a sack inside the 10-yard line. That's a punt where you're getting the ball near midfield.
Absolutely.
And field goal at this point to take the lead.
And you know what? You know what happens when you play good special teams units like the Rams or like the Vikings or like the Seahawks? Not only are you going to put a great return position to return the ball, you're one bad snap away from this being a block safety or a block touchdown, and this is a 10-10 game. Offenses can't do anything. Why would you let the special teams impact the game? And you're going to let them impact the game because you took a stupid-ass sack.
Yeah. All right. So defense really bailed the offense out in this game, especially the defensive line. But we'll get into the good stuff in a second. Just one bad thing because Amari Cooper did beat Jalen Mills on a sluggo. So second week in a row where he gets beat bad on a sluggo. And, I mean – all right, so Jalen Mills gets beat, right? But watch Rodney McLeod on this play too. And Rodney McLeod isn't getting enough criticism on this play. And this is the third week in a row where he's taken a terrible angle. So he's allowed 3 50-plus yard touchdowns in 3 weeks. And this isn't good for Rodney McLeod.
Absolutely. You know, and when we talk about the word sluggo, the term sluggo means, guys, it looks like it's a 3-step slant. And then all of a sudden that receiver is going to plant on his inside foot and release out to run a go route. So essentially what he's doing is he's trying to get leverage on that corner to open up the window towards the sideline to allow the quarterback to put some loft over his shoulder and be a completion. In this case, is going to be a touchdown. Okay, so we know that Coach Schwartz, he's a very, very aggressive defensive coach. You can see this in every game you've seen. He plays a lot of press. He plays a lot of man free. Doesn't play a lot of too high safety looks. Here's another example. Only one high safety. See him pretty much right at the eye, and this is going to be McLeod here. You can gamble. You can gamble as a corner under 2 situations. One, if you have 2 high safeties, meaning you know you have help over behind you. Or 2, you are sure as you know what that you're going to at least break the play up. Because if you're not sure, you don't have help over the top, that's a touchdown the other way. They're going to play the fight song. The cheerleaders are going to go wild, and your fans are going to be throwing things. So you can't gamble in those situations. The Eagles have been burnt by sluggos 3 weeks in a row now. You know, Sterling Shepard had a good one a couple weeks ago too, and it was almost identical to what happens. expect teams to run sluggos on you until you can determine that you can't defend it or you can defend it. If you can't do it, why would a team stop running them on you?
Yeah. And when you have the single high safety and you're biting on a slant, you better make sure you're right. That's the other thing.
No question. You have zero room for error. I am okay to an extent when a corner wants to jump it. But when I'm not okay
with McLeod jumping it, that's the question. Why is McLeod – look at what McLeod is doing.
McLeod is 15 yards away from the line of scrimmage. He is going to be about 10 yards away from the slant. How the hell do you think you're going to be able to run 10 yards and jump this if Jalen Mills isn't able to do it? I can't fathom it. Your job as a safety is to be deeper than the deepest and make sure big plays don't happen. So if Jalen Mills gets aggressive and misses, hey, that sucks, but it should be a tackle for a gain of 40, not a tackle for a touchdown.
This is ridiculous. Like, what is he doing?
Honestly, I said this in one of our past shows, Adrian. I think safety and linebacker are the two biggest needs for the Philadelphia Eagles, especially McLeod. The last several weeks, he has looked horrendous, just absolutely awful.
And he normally doesn't play this bad. So I don't know if this is a lack of confidence or if this is just a weakness of his that teams are just exposing.
I mean, it's hard for me to say it's confidence. When you make a play like that, I don't want to be mean to the guy, but it's almost a play of stupidity because I just can't fathom what would make him believe he can jump a slant route from 15 yards away.
Unbelievable. I mean, he normally plays better than this. I've never seen him play this bad. Even when he was in St. Louis, I didn't see this.
And even when we watched that Rams tape, Adrian, we talked about how poor he was at tackling down the field.
Yeah.
If you can't tackle and you can't cover, you do no good as a safety. You can't play.
Yeah. All right, so the good stuff from the Eagles defense. So something that they did on third down, Jim Schwartz pressured more, and he put Brandon Graham in as a defensive tackle. So this is something that the Patriots did during their first Super Bowl run, where Justin Tuck was used as a defensive tackle. And this is something the Eagles are doing now. So Brandon Graham in as a defensive tackle, and I'm trying to find the damn play.
It's going to be third quarter 4:25. And you know what? The Seahawks did this with Cliff Averill too.
Yeah.
It's a very similar thing. So we're going to see Brandon Graham. He's going to be lined up at the field side defensive tackle, pretty much right in the, let's call it the 48-yard line there.
Mm.
So, Brandon Graham, he's going to do an awesome job of a quick get-off. But what you're going to see here, guys, his hands are going to engage the offensive guard before the offensive guard can engage him. Two things really matter in the trenches. Usually the expression that's called low eyes win. So whoever's eyes are lower usually wins. The other thing is usually whose hands get on them first usually wins because they can steer the opposition as to where they want to go. So what you're going to see here is Brandon Graham's going to get off really quick. He's going to get his hands pretty much right into what we would call it the strike zone. Same idea as a baseball player, right into the chest and split the gap. And now it's a beeline right to Derek Carr, which makes Derek Carr have no room to throw this. And then inevitably, this is why it's an interception.
I mean, that's ridiculous. He can rush from both the DN and the defensive tackle spot, just completely disrupts that play. And, he doesn't always get to the quarterback, but when you don't get to the quarterback and you force interceptions, well, that's better than a sack, damn it.
Absolutely. Because sacks are one thing. It just means the opposition has a chance to get the ball again. Interceptions, it's a complete different situation. Hurries is one of those statistics that's nowhere near as sexy as when we talk about sacks. And that's something that always has hurt Brandon Graham. He's never been the sack master as some of the other guys. But hurries is something he's really, really great about doing, causing pressure. And here you're going to see it, guys. He's going to get his hands onto that offensive guard before he can get there, which allows Brandon Graham to make a straight beeline. Carr's just going to have to put this one up because at this point in the game, he knows, hey, I have to try to push the ball down the field. We haven't been able to do anything. We're finally in good field position, and it's an INT the other way.
Now, something with the Raiders, they get the ball out quick too. So to see the Eagles get pressure on third down with their blitz packages, that was encouraging to see because if you're going to be playing the Saints in the playoffs, they're going to be getting the ball out quick. and they couldn't get pressure on Eli Manning the week prior. So they're trying to find out ways to generate pressure on third down, something that was lacking as well with the defense last couple of weeks. But I felt like the defensive line really controlled this game. And if they want to win in the playoffs, that's what the defensive line is going to have to do. They need to control games. And if Nick Foles is going to be playing like this, they're going to have to win ugly. They're going to have to win like games like 13-10.
Absolutely. If you're someone like me who's a glasses half full person, the Eagles really haven't had to win many ugly games this year. So to me, that's the benefit here is you won an ugly game. You're getting used to what it feels like. The defense is understanding. The special teams is understanding what they need to do to win games when it's ugly. And that's important to be able to do during this time of the year.
All right, hold on. So we got a little error here. So, all right. I'm going to share it again. So I had to update something real quick.
No worries. Adrian, as you kind of pull that up, let me talk a little about MVP conversation. That's just a nice little thing for us to do. It feels like the MVP conversation is going to be a battle of attrition. It's going to be the healthiest man left is going to win the MVP award. My MVP, because I don't want to give it to Brady, even though I know he's really deserving, there's no question on mine, it's Todd Gurley.
Yeah, I would agree with that at this point. It was looking like Wentz still had a chance. Because Brady was tailing off a little bit.
Yeah.
But what Todd Gurley has done in recent weeks, he has definitely thrust himself in the conversation. And because Wentz can't play, you might be giving it to Gurley. Now, Gurley's not going to be playing Week 17. So but this will definitely be an interesting vote.
Absolutely. It's going to be a close one between the two of them. I think Antonio Brown had a real fair shot at it too until he got hurt. That was your guy. You called that earlier. He was going to be in the conversation. I loved what Todd Gurley said on Twitter. He had a tweet and it said, "Dear fantasy owners, you're welcome. Now leave us alone." And I thought that was so fitting for how NFL players view all of us as the fantasy football nerds.
Yeah, see, I was in my playoffs and Antonio Brown got hurt. So
there it goes.
Yeah, I lost that week, unfortunately, and Skolsky has reclaimed the throne of fantasy football champion.
Understood.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're going to see in this play here. This is, you want to talk about a value signing. How about Chris Long this year?
Oh, unsung hero on this line.
So unsung. I mean, you talk about, he has been eating. Now, that said, when you're playing next to –
eat for free.
Oh, man. I mean, he's got three other great defensive linemen that he's able to pretty much get one-on-one every single time. And he just does an awesome job. We talk about getting speed to power. That's a great term you hear a lot when you hear playing with defensive line. This is going to be a great example of it. You're going to see here that Chris Long, he's widened in that close to a wide 9 tech. Does a great job of getting his speed, and then he gets right into power. And you can see he's just going to destroy this tackle all the way back. And then Long does a great job of now fighting back inside, getting that mid out. Now we get a strip sack.
And the cool thing about this play, too, is how they're lined up. So you got the three guys one-on-one. You got the left tackle, left guard, and center engaged. With Cox, Graham, and Long there. And Barnett is just by himself on an island down there below.
Absolutely. And when you're able to get pressure with 4, everything is easier. Realistically, that's pretty much the primary reason the Panthers made the Super Bowl several years ago, because they're able to get pressure with 4.
And here you go. This is a great view to translating speed to power.
And when we say speed to power, guys, the big thing about that is never overextending. One thing a lot of defensive linemen, especially in the high school level, and you see it a little less in common, is they will overextend with their upper body and their feet won't be truly underneath them. Chris Long just does an awesome job. You can see his feet are almost completely under him the entire time. He never overextends. That's what allows him to push back an offensive tackle who's probably got 50 pounds on him. And he's able to drive him right back and then inevitably, like I said, get that strip sack.
And that makes Carr kind of have to move left there in the pocket as well.
Absolutely right.
Playing a little game of ballet there in the pocket. So there we go. So that's it, everybody. That's our film study for the week. All right, so you're the glass half full guy. All right, so tell Eagles fans what you need to see from Nick Foles and what the Eagles need to do to have a chance in the playoffs.
Well, if there's ever a question about should we rest players or not rest players, The Eagles are a good example offensively why you should not rest players. He needs another game. Absolutely no question. He needs to get another game. So what I'd like to see him do is get the ball out a little quicker. Yeah. I think that's important. Even if he throws interceptions, I'm almost okay with it because he's getting the ball out quicker. And that's just something that I'm going to be a little more understanding. If it's in the first quarter, let it slide. If it's in the fourth quarter, now I got issues. But we're okay with you being a little more aggressive early rather than just being Charlie check down and being a little too over, safe moving forward is what I'd like to see. Defensively, just continue doing what you're doing. As soon as we get a lead, in this game, call the dogs off, start pulling guys, let them stay healthy because the defense is really going to be what's going to be important, especially in that defensive line unit.
Do you think that Doug will change some things around with the playbook a little bit to cater things to Foles, or do you think he's just going to keep things the way they are?
I would think that he's going to keep things the way they are because it's so late in the season. If this was earlier in the season, I would have expected more tight trip cluster looks to give Foles easier reads. But because it's so late in the season, I wouldn't change much because my thinking is I don't want to cut off my nose to spite my face. I don't want to fix something and then all of a sudden the receivers now aren't used to being in tight spacing and now they're not used to making sure they get the appropriate spacing and now you can have a linebacker covering two guys at the same time. So I wouldn't change anything. If this had happened in week 4, sure, I would have revisited then.
Yeah, I think the thing that just sucks here is Wentz got hurt so late in the season. Yeah. You don't get the luxury of 6 weeks of Foles. It's only like 3. So think of like the preseason where you need 4 preseason games or 3 for most starters before you kind of get going for the regular season. And even the regular season, it kind of takes a week or 2 to get going. And you thrust Foles in this type of situation. Giants game, he was good, but every quarterback looks good against the Giants. Yeah. And then the Raiders here, this isn't a good defense for him to look like this. So we'll see, man. We'll see.
You get the win. Let's appreciate that. Let's call it for what it is. You get a win. And you know what? To be fair, at this time of the year, getting the win is most important. What it looks like becomes secondary at this point in time. But once we finish this next game, it's getting a win, whether it's 40-5 or 5-0, as long as they get the win and move on to one more week in the playoffs, that's what matters most.
Yeah. This team might go 14-2. And it's the most underappreciated 14-2 team I've seen in a while.
That's fair to say.
There you go. All right. That's Brendan Albert. I'm Adrian Fedke. We're out. Take care, guys.
Appreciate it, guys.